Prime Minister Dr. Luke Mercelina provides on developments regarding the US and Venezuela. Former Enia owner Hushang Ansari dies at 97. PM Motley, no Barbadians injured as Venezuela crisis impacts local travel. Zohran Mamdani's inaugural remarks as NYC mayor outlines vision for the city. From the island, Sint Maarten. This is SXM Daily News for January 5th, 2026. Prime Minister of St. Maarten, Dr. Luke Mercelina, has expressed deep concern for St. Maarteners and visitors currently abroad, particularly those in the United States and Europe, as regional aviation disruptions continue to affect travel to and from the island. Special attention is being given to students expected to return home ahead of the resumption of school on Monday, as well as families and visitors impacted by widespread flight cancellations. My thoughts are with all St. Maarteners and visitors who are currently stranded or facing uncertainty abroad, Prime Minister Mercelina stated. My government is actively engaged with airport authorities, airlines, and kingdom partners to provide support wherever possible and to ensure that clear, reliable information is shared with the public. Upon receiving confirmation of these developments, Prime Minister Mercelina immediately held two separate telephone conversations with the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mr. Schoof, and the Dutch Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. David van Wiel, to ensure that St. Maarten remains fully informed and aligned within the Kingdom of the Netherlands as the situation continues to evolve. The Prime Minister continues to closely monitor international and regional developments impacting aviation operations across the Caribbean, following the issuance of a NOTAM affecting Caribbean airspace with specific implications for US-registered aircraft. Based on the latest confirmed information from Princess Juliana International Airport, PJIAE, airline operators, and kingdom partners, all flights involving US-registered aircraft are cancelled at this time, with the notice remaining in effect for a minimum of 24 hours and subject to extension. This situation does not involve the closure of St. Maarten's airspace. Prime Minister Mercelina emphasized, our airspace remains open. However, due to international aviation safety protocols and the current NOTAM restrictions, US-registered aircraft are unable to operate, and several airlines have taken precautionary operational decisions. In addition to the grounding of US-registered aircraft, several non-US airlines have independently scaled back or cancelled operations out of an abundance of caution. As of this morning, KLM, Amsterdam, and Air France, Paris, flights to St. Maarten have been cancelled, along with multiple flights operated by US carriers including JetBlue, Delta, American Airlines, Spirit, and Frontier from various US cities. Regional airlines, including Winair, St. Barth Commuter, Tradewind Aviation, and SXM Airways, are also expected to scale down or temporarily suspend certain services. At this moment, there is no indication of further escalation, Prime Minister Mercelina concluded. Nevertheless, we remain fully engaged, vigilant, and in constant communication with our kingdom partners and local stakeholders. The people of St. Maarten will be kept informed as the situation continues to evolve. The Prime Minister also ensured that a letter was electronically sent today to the Parliament of St. Maarten, addressed to the Honourable President of Parliament, MP Sarah Westcott-Williams, providing a status update on these developments. This step reflects our commitment to transparency, accountability, and keeping Parliament fully informed as we continue to address matters of national importance, the Prime Minister concluded. Prime Minister Mia Mottley says there are currently no reports of Barbadians being injured in Venezuela following a United States military operation that resulted in the capture of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Speaking during a press conference at Alaro Court on Saturday, Mottley said she had been in continuous contact with Barbados's ambassador to Venezuela, Aquinas Clark, since the early hours of the morning. There is no evidence or any reports of any injuries to any Barbadians in Venezuela, and for that, we are grateful, the Prime Minister said.
With respect to the first matter, with respect to Venezuela's and what is happening in Caracas and broader Venezuela, about just around 3 o'clock this morning, I was awoken, well, not even awoken because I really wasn't sleeping, and I saw that we were having difficulties, and from then was in contact with other colleague heads of government as well as the Secretary General of CARICOM, and we had an urgent heads meeting from which you would have seen a statement earlier today. That meeting took place just after 5 o'clock this morning, and at that stage we recognized it was too early a stage for us to make any defining comment. That is still the position, because as we speak, matters are unfolding every half hour to an hour. You are as aware of the statements being made by different players, from the President of the United States of America to the Secretary of State to others, just as we are. But where Barbados becomes affected is on a number of areas, and we would have said this previously, which is why we continue to assert that small states really can only survive in an international rules-based order. For us, we always said that conflict would have consequences. And many of you asked, what would those consequences be? What would they look like? Well, we're living them out today. With the actions taken in Venezuela, a number of disruptions took place, primarily with respect to our airspace, or planes coming from the US, I should say. There are 3 major areas in the region, Eastern and Southern Caribbean, and then one in Puerto Rico, 4 altogether in the Caribbean, that effectively manage the upper flight space. And Curacao remained closed until just now. Piarco never closed, but we were affected by all US registered flights. It is fair to say that there were 13 scheduled inbound flights that were canceled, all of them full. The exact numbers are being confirmed as we speak. JetBlue, Delta Airlines, United Airlines. We also were aware that KLM canceled their flight even though they were not coming from the US. And we are also aware that 3 TUI flights, as you know, Barbados does the home porting and the cruising, and every weekend people fly into Barbados to be able to take the cruise ship. 3 of the TUI planes were also canceled, but 2 Norse ones, which are also bringing people, were allowed to come in. To the best of my knowledge, I've been advised by the airport, Mr. Bourne is here, that the British Airways and the Virgin flights will be coming in, and the flights from Canada, Air Canada and WestJet, would also be coming in. For the most part, regional air travel continues to operate, even though there is a tenuous situation and people are watching it, because in some instances they may be affected by still the closure of San Juan, and we suspect, I believe the French have opened back their airspace too, so that everyone except San Juan has opened back up. The National Security Council of Barbados met just after 1 o'clock, and for the last 2 hours we took briefs on both situations from a range of persons, not just the law enforcement heads, but as you would appreciate, Barbados is probably the biggest hub closest to Venezuela in terms of tourism, and therefore in terms of air flights and in terms of hotel accommodation and cruise accommodation, we would inevitably be affected. We have spent the time trying to get, and are still doing so as we speak, trying to get more details. There was a Conviasa flight that was to be returning to Caracas today, and 73 persons have been affected by that and clearly are not in a position to return to Venezuela as we speak. The airport is dealing with them and trying to understand where exactly persons have been. At the same time, the acting Minister of Tourism has been able to meet with the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association and identify what rooms are available on island. There is still a comfortable number, because remember, even though there are people who are to leave, the people who were to come in are not here as well, so we still benefit from that additional room. Clearly, the Conviasa one is a different one, because those persons were just simply to go back to Venezuela, and there's no incoming flight at this point in time for them. We anticipate that this situation will remain fluid, but the mere fact that Curacao has reopened its airspace, as well as France, with the Department of Martinique and Guadeloupe being the primary ones here in the region, in Saint Martin, there will be a need for us to expect that, barring no new unforeseen circumstances in Venezuela, that hopefully we can get back to some level of stability as soon as possible. You would have heard me mention that it was not just the airlines that would be affected, but it is also the cruise passengers. Barbados actually has, I believe, 4 cruise ships in at the moment, with a 5th one that was actually due to come in this evening for maintenance and repairs, so that our difficulty at the port is going to be accommodating the berthing of all of them. Some will, I assume, have to also be accommodated outside of the immediate harbor, and therefore would have to rely on tenders. With respect to the Arvia, as I said, the TUI flights were cancelled, but the 2 flights were coming in. Normally that would take 7 flights, and we're still waiting to hear on the status of the other 2. That is approximately 2,000 passengers that would be affected there. In addition, the Seabourn Explorer additionally was affected, and the Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection. The port capacity for overnight berthing has been reviewed, and at this point is deemed manageable in the short term. What we are hoping is that those flights that were cancelled may well be rescheduled in the near future, and those ships that were due to leave Barbados this evening will probably do so then, hopefully in the near future. But this is something that is a moving target, and that we will continue to keep everyone updated on. With respect to the well-being and welfare of those who may be stranded locally, I've put the Minister of Home Affairs on notice. We are awaiting information still from the airport with respect to any other persons who may be stranded. And obviously most people would make their own arrangements. But let us also be clear that there are some people who may not have the wherewithal or the capacity so to do, and that is where the Minister of Home Affairs and Immigration Department, as well working with the Barbados Defence Force and the Ministry of Tourism, that we can see where and how we will be affected. I am hopeful that those numbers will not be large, given the initial responses that we're seeing, but I would not be surprised if we have responsibility for some of them. At the same time, those who were due to come back into Barbados may well be affected. Some of our citizens have gone out. Some of them may have gone and had a good time for Christmas and may not have been able to take care of themselves for an extra night or 2 in a hotel, and therefore we are conscious of that. We have been in touch continuously with the Consul General at Miami, the Honorable Rudy Grant, as well as the Consul General in New York, Mr. Lorenzo Harewood. The bottom line is that both of them are not seeing a major set of pressure at this point in time, but a lot depends on how the airlines accommodate persons who have to be rebooked, and it is really still too early for us to make a definitive statement on this. Suffice it to say, however, that we give families in Barbados the assurance that we are on top of helping with your families who may be stranded overseas, and similarly, those people, we have been known for who we are and how we treat people. Those who will be stranded here, we will ensure that to the best of our ability, without going overboard, that persons are kept comfortable with their basic needs.
BBC News Report. When U.S. forces conducted a night raid on the Venezuelan capital Caracas, they didn't just drag President Nicolas Maduro from his compound and put him on a flight to New York, they took his wife too. Celia Flores, 69, has long been seen as one of the most powerful figures in Venezuela, a political operator in her own right who for decades has shaped the country's fortunes. After years leading Venezuela's National Assembly, she helped consolidate her husband's grip on power after his 2013 presidential election victory. As First Lady, she was dubbed First Warrior by Maduro. But in that role, she publicly took a back seat, presenting a more family-oriented face to what critics say was a brutal regime. She hosted a TV show, Concilia and Familia, and made occasional appearances on state television to dance salsa with her husband. But behind the scenes, she is thought to have been one of Maduro's key advisors and an architect of his political survival. Flores has faced allegations of corruption and nepotism, and in recent years, her family members have been found guilty in U.S. courts of smuggling. She will now face drug trafficking and weapons charges in a New York court, along with her husband, who has long rejected the accusations as a pretext to force him from power. Willemstad, Prime Minister Gilmar Pisas, says the U.S. operation against Venezuela did not come as a surprise to him, describing it as a matter of time before Washington would intervene against the government of President Nicolas Maduro. Pisas made the remarks in an interview on Saturday afternoon, hours after the U.S. operation, in which Maduro was detained and taken out of the country. According to Pisas, the situation is comparable to the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, when events unfolding elsewhere eventually had direct consequences for Curaçao. He said the U.S. president could not afford to lose credibility after earlier tough statements and a visible military buildup in the Caribbean region. After that, you can't suddenly say, "I'm not going to do it after all," Pisas said.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances.
Willemstad Hushang Ansari, the former owner of insurance company Enia, has died. Ansari was born in Iran in 1927 and previously served as Iran's Minister of Finance and ambassador to the United States. After building a large international real estate empire, Ansari acquired Enia in 2006. The insurer operates in Curaçao and Sint Maarten. Under his ownership, Enia was rapidly stripped of assets, a process that later led to widespread complaints about financial mismanagement and serious concerns about the company's solvency. In 2018, the Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten intervened and placed Enia under emergency supervision. Regulators concluded that Ansari had extracted an estimated €570 million from the insurer, severely undermining its financial position and putting policyholders at risk. Following lengthy legal proceedings, the Court of Curaçao ruled that Ansari was liable for the damage caused to Enia. He was ordered to repay approximately 522 million euros to the insurance company. The Enia case has been one of the most significant financial scandals in the history of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, with lasting consequences for pension funds, policyholders, and financial supervision in Curaçao and Sint Maarten. We have more on the featuring the St. Martin Carnival Development Foundation, SCDF, which officially launched the pageant journey for Carnival 2026 on Sunday evening with a sash ceremony at the new Mona Lisa Lounge in Philipsburg, bringing together contestants, chaperones, families, and friends for what SCDF described as the first official step toward the junior, teen, and senior pageants.
There we go. Round of applause for your contestant number one, ladies and gentlemen.
From the music of our carnival to the flavors of our local dishes, St. Martin teaches us to celebrate life, embrace our roots, and shine with joy and pride. When I am not climbing the ladder of educational success, you can find me exploring our beaches, creating more of our rhythmic tunes, or learning more about the traditions that makes our island so unique. Today I stand here with a heart full of gratitude and excitement, ready to share the energy, kindness, and vibrant spirit of St. Martin with all of you. On April 20th, I invite you to witness cultural pride and history explained as I set the stage for St. Martin's Carnival team for St. Martin's Carnival 55.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Miss Angelique Harrigan, your contestant number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Help me welcome Miss Aaliyah Ash. Your contestant number 4 for the Teen Queen Pageant.
We've all had dreams, right? Well, every dream starts with believing in yourself. And I'm ready to take that step here today. Hi, my name is Aaliyah Ash, and I am 16 years old, attending Charlotte Brookson Academy for the Performing Arts, where I pursue my passion for theater and visual arts. I am excited and truly honored to be part of the Carnival Teen Pageant and hope to build a platform around self-love, empowerment, and perseverance. I thank you for allowing me to be here today, and I hope that you, and you will join me on this lovely journey. Thank you.
They get to keep the Maryland up. Your contestant number 2, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Crescentia Matthew.
Hi everyone, I am Crescentia Matthew, and I am a 15-year-old drama student at the St. Dominic High School. I have a passion for art, poetry, story writing, piano playing, and a lot more. Even more of my passions are my current and future goals. My current goals being graduating high school, perfecting my music and lyric writing, becoming a better debater, and being the co-president of my church's youth group. My future goals are going to college and getting to run my own hotel. Most importantly at present, I am also very excited to be here. I can't wait to show my island who I am. It's a small island, so a lot of you probably already know, but maybe from this, I can become known by the whole world.
Officially letting you know that she is your contestant number 5. Round of applause one more time for Granisha Reed, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, If you're in the market for something vibrant, valuable, and unforgettable, then I have the perfect viewing for you. Picture this: prime location, St. Martin, historic value, the 55th anniversary of Carnival, and a once-a-year investment that showcases beauty, confidence, culture, and talent. I'm talking about the Miss Teen Carnival Queen Pageant 2026. A property so full of promise, you want the front row seating. And the agent holding the keys to this incredible opportunity, a teenager with vision, passion, and undeniable curve appeal. Hello, it's me, Tanisha Reed, and I'm here to invite you to come out, buy in, and invest your applause in the future of our carnival. So come ready to cheer, celebrate, and witness me and my fellow agents shine. Culture appreciates, and the carnival legacy continues to rise in value. Trust me, this property will be sold out in excitement. I'll see you at the next viewing.
Willemstad. The carnival season in Curaçao was officially opened on Saturday night, with a large jump-up parade followed by a festive celebration at the festival center. The highlight of the evening was a performance by Trinidadian soca star Machel Montano. The opening festivities began at 8 p.m. with a lively jump-up starting from Suvek. The parade moved through Mahai and Brevengat before arriving at the festival center, where thousands of revelers gathered for an evening of music, dancing, and celebration. Machel Montano, internationally known for hits such as Family, received an enthusiastic response from the crowd. The soca superstar from Trinidad and Tobago was the headlining act of the night and set the tone for the upcoming carnival weeks. This year's carnival organization is in the hands of Beehives, a group that has built a strong reputation in recent years by bringing major regional artists to Curaçao. The successful opening signals the start of an active and festive carnival season on the island, with more events and parades scheduled in the weeks ahead. Authorities reported no major incidents during the opening night, and the atmosphere remained festive and orderly as Curaçao officially entered carnival mode.
Now for the weather forecast, today through Tuesday midday. Partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers. Isolated thunderstorms are possible. Surface winds, today through Tuesday midday. Southeasterly to northerly with a light to gentle breeze at 4 to 10, becoming lighter and variable at times. State of the sea, slight waves are swells 2 to 4 feet. Outlook through Wednesday midday. Partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy with isolated showers. And now your 3-day forecast.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
St. Kitts and Nevis, has formally assumed the chairmanship of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, with Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew pledging steady leadership, deeper regional solidarity, and renewed momentum for integration as the Caribbean navigates an increasingly uncertain global landscape. In a message to the community, Drew said he takes on the role with optimism and a deep dedication to the ideals of our regional integration movement, while paying tribute to outgoing CARICOM chairman Dr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Drew praised Holness for his sterling leadership during a period marked by geopolitical tension and economic challenges. Underscoring the urgency of unity, Drew said regional integration is no longer a choice, but a necessity, particularly as Caribbean nationals remind us of a fundamental truth. None will come to save us. We must save ourselves, he said. An inauguration ceremony was held on the steps of New York City Hall as Mamdani was sworn in as mayor, marking a significant moment in city politics. Prominent figures, including Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and other politicians and public figures, were expected to attend the event, highlighting its national political significance. Report by DRM News.
I stand alongside you, the tens of thousands of you gathered here in Lower Manhattan, warmed against the January chill by the resurgent flame of hope. I stand alongside countless more New Yorkers watching from cramped kitchens in Flushing and barbershops in East New York, from cell phones propped against the dashboards of parked taxicabs at LaGuardia, from hospitals in Mott Haven and libraries in El Barrio that have too long known only neglect. I stand alongside construction workers in steel-toed boots and halal cart vendors whose knees ache from working all day. I stand alongside neighbors who carry a plate of food to the elderly couple down the hall, those in a rush who still lift strangers' strollers up subway stairs, and every person who makes the choice day after day, even when it feels impossible, to call our city home. I stand alongside over 1 million New Yorkers who voted for this day nearly 2 months ago. And I stand just as resolutely alongside those who did not. I know there are some who view this administration with distrust or disdain, or who see politics as permanently broken. And while only action can change minds, I promise you this: if you are a New Yorker, I am your mayor. Regardless of whether we agree, I will protect you, celebrate with you, mourn alongside you, and never, not for a second, hide from you. I thank the labor and movement leaders here today, the activists and the elected officials who will return to fighting for New Yorkers the second this ceremony concludes, and the performers who have gifted us with their talent. Thank you to Governor Hochul. Thank you as well to Mayor Adams. Dorothy's son, a son of Brownsville who rose from washing dishes to the highest position in our city, for being here as well. He and I have had our share of disagreements, but I will always be touched that he chose me as the mayoral candidate that he would most want to be trapped with on an elevator. Thank you to the two titans who, as an assembly member, I've had the privilege of being represented by in Congress, Nidia Velázquez and our incredible opening speaker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You have paved the way for this moment. Thank you to the man whose leadership I seek most to emulate, who I am so grateful to be sworn in by today, Senator Bernie Sanders.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.